All right, we're live. Hi, I'm JD Houvener, and that is Matt Colseth. We're live at the Bold Inventor Show. You made it. This is your weekly broadcast talking about intellectual property, patents, trademarks, copyrights, you name it. We've got a special guest on today, so it should be a good show. Matt, it's good to see you again.
Yeah, likewise, man. How you been?
Been pretty good. Good. Got my jacket on. Feeling good. I got my little color.
Oh yeah, you got a little flare there.
Yeah. I got the Amazon pack with about 50 different colors, so it's pretty good. Nice. Keeps it interesting.
No, it looks good, man. Is that going to be your signature look from now on?
I think so. And we're stepping up to the jacket. You're welcome to to match if you'd like.
Sure. Yeah, we can do that.
Okay, sounds good. I'm starting out basketball coaching, which should be good. I'm gonna, the soccer season's pretty much over with the weather changing, and so it'll be good coaching both girls on the same team, third and fourth.
Sweet. That's great, man.
Yep.
A lot of props to you for doing that. That's a lot of work.
Yeah. It's a short season. Should be 6 weeks, but it'll be fun. I played more basketball than soccer, so I can play a little bit. Try not to stub fingers and things.
Yep.
Well, we've got our guest waiting backstage. I don't know if you had a chance to meet him. I think he's back there, Peter von Dyck, von Dyck, I should say. So we'll bring him on in about 10-15 minutes.
Sounds good.
For those that are joining for the first time, just a refresher. A disclaimer to say this is not a spot to have confidential discussions. So we're not going to be giving out any legal advice today, just a lot of really fun, good legal information. So please feel free to ask questions throughout and know that there's no attorney-client privilege here. But we're going to be talking about with our guests and taking live questions as priority and then doing a little Q&A before we get to our guests and wrapping things up with a bold bite.
Nice.
I did a good one here. Which should be fun. Charles Barkley is one of the Sharks, one of my favorites in terms of athletes. So, all right. Let's start out with a little with a trademark one for you to warm things up, get the motor running.
Let's do this, man.
Okay, this should be good. This is coming out of Spring Valley, New York.
Oh, great state.
Great state. Yeah, it's a big state. Spring Valley. I kind of picture it being upstate. North.
Yeah.
There's
isn't like any the upstate New York? It's not like in like New York metropolitan.
No. All right. What class do I classify my goods when I'm applying for trademark registrations? I'm selling electrical goods. I'm not sure what class it would go under. I'm working on trademark registrations.
Yeah, so it would depend on which types of products that you're looking to do. Like, so for example, like light bulbs would be like class 11, hand tools would be class 9, like electrical sockets.
Electrical goods. I'm picturing, perhaps, I don't know.
Electrical, so like maybe like battery chargers, like that kind of stuff, or
yeah, right.
It's probably gonna be class 9.
Class 9.
Class 9 is a lot of like electrical products, kind of miscellaneous electrical products would be in there. Like tradesmen's tools would be a different class entirely, but for some of these hands tools, or or I guess just electrical goods in general, probably class 9. But you'd want to talk to the client about it and get some more particular product descriptions, because the USPTO won't let you register electrical goods, right?
Yeah.
You got to be much more specific than that.
Okay. So bottom line, something you got to get at least a consultation in, if not having help you.
Yeah. It's going to be very specific depending on the product. So without knowing more, like electrical goods, I hear electrical goods, I think like electrician products, but we have lots of those clients. That's why.
My mind went to like consumer goods. Would that be something totally different, right? Or
potentially, like battery chargers and stuff like that's going to be class 9, but it really depends. I mean, I'd want to know more about the actual product before I said, it's class 9 for sure. But just taking a guess, random, like stab in the dark, I'd say class 9 probably.
If someone decides not to listen to your advice, how dare they, and file on their own under the wrong class, what are the ramifications there?
So, if you have a somewhat friendly examining attorney, they might give you the benefit of the doubt and they might suggest to you the actual product class for the products.
Okay.
Now, like if you have, a whole list of different products that you're putting in your initial application, it might fall into multiple classes. So the examining attorney might get mad at you, and he or she might, give you like 6 different, applications basically. And then you'd have to either accept their recommendations or kind of go back to them and give them something else in terms of the goods descriptions. But you might be in multiple classes at that point. So it's probably best just to talk to an attorney and just get it filed right the first time.
Very, very good. Thanks, Matt. Knocked out of the park. That was a good one to kick things off. We have 4 questions come in over the week from our Reddit group, our Reddit/patents. And here is the question here. Can 2 people apply for the same patent? Simple question. I think it can be taken at least 2 different ways.
Yep.
The first way I read this was you got co-inventors of the same invention. Can you both apply for it? I think the easiest way I should say is to have you both listed as inventors and use the same attorney. And that way you're all sort of together. In a lot of cases, the best way to do that eventually will be to assign your rights to a company. If you're in business together, you're planning to move it to market, you can both individually assign it to an entity, and that way it's governed and controlled by a business. Maybe if the question is being asked, can 2 people independently invent the same thing and apply for the same invention? The answer is yes. And who gets the patent? The one that files first. So it's all about that all-important filing date. And that's why there is a bit of a race, a lot of urgency to get patent applications filed as soon as you're able to get it to the point where it's an invention. And that's one thing that I know Troy, myself, when I do consultations, I sit down and help inventors appreciate, have you gone from that idea conception phase to an invention? Does it have enough meat on the bone? Have you been able to explain the invention so much that you could tell someone in your industry that much detail so they could make it and build it and use it? That's now at the level where you can actually file. And we recommend doing so as soon as possible. We do actually put one little hurdle in between. We say we should do a search. So a really thorough patentability search, especially if it's something outside of your industry, something you haven't done day in, day out. After doing that search, we want to get you filed right away. Matt, any thoughts on this, or maybe different ways the question could be asked?
Yeah, I mean, I guess from a trademark standpoint, you can have co-owners of a trademark application at the USPTO. I'm dealing with that right now. We represent a company that has a co-owned trademark with another individual. Nobody knows how that happened, right? Because the original attorney's gone. The attorney, the other party has no clue, right? Which is just complete hearsay at this point, based on, we own it for this and you own it for that, and just a mess. So I always try to steer clear of dual-owned trademark applications, because it's just inevitably going to be a problem. So you can, but you shouldn't.
Very good. All right, let's see. We're going to stick with our Reddit bucket. And these have not been screened here, so we'll probably do a couple more of these.
Okay.
I'm just looking to do a quick glance for any slanderous language. Okay. Are translation services available for manufacturing patents and proprietary designs? I'm sure they are, but I don't know what that means. Let's see. Translation services available.
Does that mean, like, for example, like if there's like a foreign patent, right? Somehow gets translated back into English for, I guess, novelty purposes.
Goodness. I think that's good. Okay,
so how do the examiners, when they search for, prior art, do they look in foreign jurisdictions? How do they do that?
Yeah. Okay. Well, U.S. examiners are looking for prior art around the world. I don't know. I don't know, but they're supposed to look worldwide, right? When you submit a patent application to the U.S., they're not looking to see if it's new just in the U.S. They're looking to see if it's new in the whole world ever, right? Right. So they must have some ability to do prior art searches, have translations, and if you will, whether it's manual, probably more automated. That's really good. It's really good, right? Foreign language. How does an attorney that only speaks English, an examiner only speaks English, able to read to see if it's prior art? It's an amazing question. And one that I will take back and report on next week. Appreciate it.
That's really tough.
Okay. One other thing I was thinking of was, you've got applications and patents. Well, sorry, you have foreign patents that have rights in foreign countries. Let's just pick one. Let's say China, right? It's in Chinese characters, okay? And you want to see if you're infringing that, right? If you're only doing business in the U.S., you only have to worry about infringing U.S. patents. So that Chinese company would have had to seek a patent here in the U.S. Obviously, have that translated into English and get that patent through, whether it was through the PCT or directly through the national phase of the U.S. So you'd still be able to look for U.S. English written language for U.S. patent rights, so you can kind of stay away from infringement. In any case, it's a great question. All right, let's move on. We have, we've actually reached the end of the bucket, Matt, in terms of our questions. So let's bring on our guest, I think. That's next. If anybody else watching has any questions or comments, you're welcome to pipe up. We'll bring up your question first thing. Without further ado, let's bring Peter onto the show. Peter, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Intellectual property experts.
I'm just going to laugh and say, yeah, maybe.
Well, as you can see, I was stumped already.
That's good questions.
Peter, I want to make sure I get your last name right. Can you say it?
Peter von Dyck.
Von Dyck. All right. Well, and this is a part of our show where we want to interview inventors, and you just certainly are serial inventor and CEO. We've got our title here. So you've focused in the past. You've done a lot of innovations related to healthcare, and specifically, ICU, critical care type environments, and specific to ostomy care. Maybe you could walk us through sort of that range of innovation, bring us back a bit when those occurred. I'd love to kind of hear about some of those moments that you want to share, and we can go from there.
Yeah, sure. So generally, the category where I got my start was medical devices, right? It's a big category, yep. And specifically in that big multi-billion-dollar market, I was focusing on gastrointestinal products. And as you said, the care site was a lot of times, unfortunately, a very tough site, which is the intensive care unit, where people are really horribly, traumatized and injured and things like that, or post-surgical trauma. And so they can't eat, they can't walk, they're on death's door a lot of times, and things are pretty serious. And so growing up actually selling in that environment where I was just a young buck in these ICUs around the world selling products of various types, and you see these families and these people did not expect to be there that day, if you know what I mean. I became impassioned about, well, how could I help in a better way than just selling medical devices or whatever? So then when I started talking with the doctors, and they would say, well, we can't feed this patient this way. They may aspirate. They may have an inability to swallow their own nutrition. It may go into their lung and kill them. Long story short, I won't get too gruesome, but there were really roadblocks where I was like, well, that can be solved. I think I can invent a new device where we could get around that, anatomically, or maybe with a new approach to getting the catheter inside the body, even in somebody as high risk as intensive care. So I started inventing in my early 20s and reading a lot of medical books on the side, just listening how doctors were using something new, complaining about something new, and wishing they could get something better. And as a young guy, with no education, pretty much an academic dwarf, I got these ideas. And so I was like, okay, I know how to get that product down deeper by the bedside, safely pass all these anatomical roadblocks, and we can allow this new type of nutrition to happen, and they'll have better outcomes, and everything will improve. And it was big thinking, but it worked. And so I invented about 10 or 15 different medical devices for feeding intensive care unit patients, burn patients, all different types of intensive care unit patients. Next thing you know, I have to go around the world teaching the doctors how to use these new things, because they were new processes, new techniques. And that was part of the IP. It wasn't just the design; it was also how they were applied and procedurally entered the body. So then something bigger happened in my life, where my sister, older sister, just a couple years older than me, in her 20s, gets a head accident, really bad one, talking coma for 10 years. And her name was Zasi. Her name was Zasi, which is the name of my company's. And that's when I went from entrepreneurial innovation to purpose-driven innovation, where I said, all right, now she's needing these products. All right, they're going to save her. And it did mess me up seeing my own products inside her and being used for life support. But it kicked off a whole new generation of inventions right after that I ended up going into a whole new area after that.
Wow.
But that's how I got my start. That's how I got my start.
Wow, that's amazing. Honestly, Matt, you can jump in if you got questions. The first one I had was, your story in your 20s. You're selling medical devices. Do you have to have gone to medical school, or do you have to be an MD to do that? And are you trained in that?
Great question. I think, in hindsight, of course, no. I was lucky enough to get in as an 18-year-old in a machine shop that in a medical device company that was small, maybe 50 people, so I could see all the departments and how things worked, like R&D and manufacturing, quality assurance, and all that stuff.
Wow.
And then I just got out in the field early enough to start interacting with physicians, where they were, as I said, trying to solve problems, complaining about products. And just as a young gun, you just can't help but be creative. And so no training, but I did realize early I needed to read these medical books. So I would go home from college courses at night at a community college, and I would read like endoscopic retrograde cholangiopancreatography and all these cool procedures, and I just got lost in it and was writing down every other word, and then learning, and before I knew it, I became quite fluent, and I could go toe to toe with these physicians, show them my new designs. They would co-design with me a little bit sometimes, like Duke University, MIT, Pennsylvania. They all co-invented with me, and we brought a whole series of devices together to the market together. Got them through FDA, and then I became. Then I started my own companies, actually, where I did this for my own companies.
Where's that passion come from? I mean, was it all financial kind of thing through your own company? Were they incentivizing that inspiration or innovation, I should say?
I'll say two things. For first one was reverse nepotism, because the small company I worked for at age 18 was founded by my father, who thought I was an academic idiot. He wasn't wrong, actually. But so I learned I had to be way better than everybody in the company. I had to invent. I had to go to that holy ground of invention, because I knew if I could do that, then they wouldn't say, "Oh, he's just the boss's son," right? So that really gave me drive. But then my sister,
so there's a little bit of a chip on the shoulder, a little bit of that made that prove them wrong thing.
I mean, I was working with MBAs and PhDs, and I'm going to community college getting Ds, at night. So I had to do something, right? But then it became personal, of course, when my sister got hurt, and that opened up another flurry of innovation and drive.
That's awesome. So so you had basically, you were working at least with one other person on most all of these projects and inventions. Is that right?
Well, it takes a village to get them through the 1 to 7 year product development time frame. That's why patents are so important to us, because we need that time to protect our idea, as you know well, to make sure we can get through this multi-year product development timeline, and then have 10 years in the market as well. Yes. So I would say I was inventing alone in most cases, but then I would get my inventions validated by top surgeons and doctors around the world, and then I would have it built by engineers and people much smarter than me than that. And they would take my design to, of course, the CAD/CAM level. I was doing chicken scratch design. Okay,
I'd love to spend some time on that validation, because we have clients that are active, real clients right now in that pre-validation. They've done their own prototypes. Maybe not even that. It's too expensive or too arduous to get a prototype out. And we're trying to point them in the right direction to get funding, going to universities, research institutes. How did you how do you get that connection for that validation?
I would depending on what my specific device did at the time, I would look at the journals, the medical journals, especially the peer-reviewed ones. I would find out who were the big 10, 15 doctors, if you will, in the United States in that lane, publishing on that lane, right? And then I would go to the conferences where they're at, where these medical conferences, and I would literally, they're on the podium. I'd be in the first guy in line, waiting for them to come down after talking their thing. I have my pad, and I plead with them to give me 2 minutes. And then if next thing I know, they're like, "Damn, this could work. How are you?" But they're like, "This could work." Next thing I know, they're talking with me. Then they're endorsing it. Then they're helping me, refine it. And then they're, of course, helping me test it on either synthetic testing or animal laboratory testing, and then cadaver testing, and then human testing.
Okay, I'm gonna break that down. So you did the research to find out who cares the most about what you're inventing. You physically found where they're at and hunted them down, presented your solution, and began working with them. I can't repeat that enough. I mean, you had a major fire in your belly, right? As Sylvester Stallone says. I mean, you were going to make this happen no matter what.
Oh yeah, no matter what. Because I knew people were dying without it. In my market, it's easy because if you know your device can do 10% more, 15, 20% more of whatever is causing an issue, a medical issue, and you can not even be a life-saving medical issue, you're not going to stop. You're going to get it on the market, even if it kills you.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So you're a serial inventor. To me, that means you must have at least had one payday, right? Financial reward. Maybe be more philanthropic, but walk us through some of those wins, not necessarily numbers, but I want to say, how does that happen? How did you make money with your first one or two?
Well, you're right. With the first inventions, they were all owned by my employer. That was the case for this family-owned company. It was also the case with a $18 million drug company that bought products. I invented for them as well, but they gave me $1 for the plaque. As you know, that's all you get. They owned all my IP. But then I did have IP that I created before those employments. I formally reserved them on the side in writing as being invented prior to my employment. And I put them off to the side for a couple of years while I worked for these big companies, got my synthetic MBA, because again, I did hardly any schooling. And then I went back, and then I found that the distributors that were selling my products in the past, they were actually sales teams and distributors. I went to them and I said, would you back me? You've been successfully selling my products before. Would you back me if I form a company and do it on my own? And a couple of them said yes, and they coughed up $500,000 over a year and a half. And they moved me to Florida, and they on a handshake, we did it. I quit the big $18 billion company, started my own called Saskia Medical. I named it after my sister. That was her. Her name was Saskia, and we called her Zasi. And that was it. That was my seed money, and then we're off and running. And then, of course, next thing I did, I made sure every design there was validated by these doctor types I told you about. So you got prestige around, the design validation. You get the patent pending, which is key. The claims look strong, which I get. You guys better be the claim has to be wickedly strong. They got to endure for 20 years. 5 years of that being developed. And then, of course, I went and got distribution by some of the largest medical companies in the world who licensed the patent. And then eventually they bought my companies, and I did that a few times.
Got it. And that's that was a lot. That was a lot. Now you're still
He's a busy guy.
Yeah, he's a busy guy. Zasi is still an active thing. Is that right?
That's it. Yes, that's interesting because I think you guys would dig this one because it's not about patents, but I created that pre LinkedIn. I launched it in 2002, and what it would allow disclosure of IP without the claim and the confidentiality elements. It would allow safe disclosure through a Q&A process so that a big drug company or medical device company could actually look at a doctor's invention, not sign an NDA, but pull out enough of the attributes and traits of the design and its capabilities without disclosing the secret sauce. And then the parties, it would be matched based on all that criteria. So I created a matching engine with early AI, early natural language processing. And that's what Zasi is right now. It's actually a disclosure for non-solicited ideas into big companies who are seeking new outside external innovation from inventors, but allows a safe way for inventors to disclose their idea and have it matched up with the business development people at the company.
Okay, Peter. What? Okay, hold on. This is how do you?
I'm tagging what you're mowing, Peter.
You get it, right?
How do you disclose an invention without the secret sauce? What meat is there?
Well, I mean, then I would say put your business development hat on. Like you're the guy looking at deals day after day, right? You're looking at companies day after day. So you look at the idea and you go, okay, first off, what stage of development is it? Is it a 510K? Is it a drug? Is it a PMA? What level of risk is this thing? Where's their testing? Has it been in humans, animals, synthetic, or not? Is there revenue? You have all these. You have a checklist of 100 things that if it ties up 80%, you'll take it inside the company. You'll go NDA and you'll take a serious shot at making a deal. But it's that previous part that it's too much work, and the doctor doesn't know what he's doing. The doctor doesn't know how to put all that in a business plan. And so I built a software system that was one of the first AIs where it would allow through a Q&A, it would extract the information through multiple choice answers and things like that, where it would spit out a report like a pitch book or patent landscape report and tell them not the claims, not what is claimed or what is novel, but is it a life-saving claim? Is it a durability claim? Is it companies look at claims by what they do. Is it a manufacturing claim? You see what I'm saying? So it was enough to wet their beak.
So sort of, characteristics, descriptive parts, aspects, like an abstract of the invention, if you will. Cool. Very cool.
And now I'm in AI. So now I'm wrestling with what you guys are, I'm sure. Now with my newer venture, I'm in healthcare data and AI, and we're all sitting back trying to understand when to patent that stuff, when not to, how fast that's moving. And so now I'm considering, I have some patents in the work there, but we're also tentative about doing them because, by the time they get issued, you wonder if the technology is going to be, already something new,
Yeah, right. Okay. And have you gone with counsel, or have you gotten educated so much on your own? You've been comfortable filing on your own?
I've never filed completely on my own, but I'll do some provisional work, but then I'll always use outside expertise like you guys for sure. 100%. You got to get it right.
Wonderful. Got it. And in terms of the, current plan, do you have a company? Is it still the EZOSI, or are you still preformed?
Currently, I'm president and CEO of a company called Persone Analytics, and it's based in Jacksonville, Florida, and it's got a really revolutionary platform to kind of ingest all our disparate healthcare data. Like, for instance, you have healthcare data from 10 years ago at your, podiatrist or your pediatric, or your, if you're older, you have a nursing home, and all the data is in separate, disparate pockets all around us. It's not longitudinally aligned, and therefore AI can't go in there and customize medicine for you because it doesn't understand what happened to you 5-10 years ago. So we actually built a chassis that can ingest all this different disparate healthcare data and then create a platform for personalized medicine around you and about your journey and your healthcare needs.
Yeah. Well, that sure sounds like my charts-ish, but maybe one or two layers more technical in terms of what physicians can do. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Well, what are your biggest hurdles there? What are some of the issues you're battling with without disclosing anything confidential? Are there technical hurdles, or is it more just buy-in? What do you need?
I think that with healthcare data, of course, HIPAA is a big deal. Privacy, secure cybersecurity is a huge deal. So you can't just build in the capability of the AI and the analytics. You have to actually build in equal layers of cybersecurity and protection from HIPAA and make sure that data never gets out. It is among the most valuable data. I mean, you can imagine if your DNA is in a database and we know what makes you sick, Matt, versus you, and that gets out, internationally. I mean, that's the kind of thing that could improve on a COVID virus, right? If you want to understand how to make that more impactful, you would look at the engineering of everyone's DNA and how they succumb to illness. So we really are under a high threshold to make sure the data we ingest is protected, and it's really at odds. They don't want to share, but you need it to be shared, and no one wants it shared, but yet they all know it should be shared so that we can have more personalized medicine and better care.
Wonderful. Well, we'll have up into maybe a few more minutes. Any guests or listeners here listening to our show want to ask any questions, this is the time to do it. We've got Peter on for a few more, up to a half hour if we've got enough questions. Matt, do you have anything on your mind you want to jump to?
No, super cool, Peter. I appreciate you coming on today.
Thank you.
You are a serial entrepreneur. And yeah, some really cool ideas. I really like the idea of using AI to match company needs with potential solutions, right? Without necessarily disclosing the invention, but matching those two up based on needs and, abilities, I guess, or, what's been filed.
And think about like even the whole ecosystem. So for instance, if I know that this doctor's device has a balloon on it for anchoring or is made of certain material here, I can take those same attributes and traits and match them with the proper manufacturing or a proper prototype house. So really it was designed to take the whole medical device ecosystem, even the venture capitalists. If I know it's a urological catheter and this venture firm does urological investments, I can make those connections. Sure. So it was a really way to kind of get an auto recommendation engine and match people up faster to speed innovation up. And here's the real key why. So my sister, I was racing to get this one product out, this catheter that you mentioned earlier on, which would have stopped infections that she was getting chronically from intestinal bacteria. And she's bedridden, of course. And I raced to get it through FDA and get it out. And it was 2 months too late from her. And I couldn't experiment on her, of course. That would not be correct. So other patients got the benefit of it during the testing phase, but I got it out to market 2 months too late after FDA approval. And that's when I was like, I really need to build a software as a service company that can speed up innovation in medical devices.
Cool. Love it.
Can we spend a little bit of time on the FDA component? I mean, I assume you've gotten pretty darn familiar with that.
Sure.
What, for let's say a first-time inventor in a medical device space, how do they know whether to do a 510 or not? What resources would you recommend they go to if they're just beginning that journey?
You mean specifically to FDA classification and things like that?
Yes.
Well, my engine did that. So that was one of the things I did in my Ostomy module. It actually calculated that for you. So you would answer about 20 questions about your invention, and it would tell you what your FDA classification was.
Wow.
And what your CE mark would be, what classification you'd be in Europe, and what classification you would be in Japan. So I'm sure it's not the only one anymore. This is going back 15, 20 years. But I think you have AI now that can calculate that. But of course, the FDA has made themselves available now to inventors to actually talk to you about that and help you through that, especially since there's a real convergence now of Internet of Things, drug device combinations, and the lines are blurred now to understand what classification you really fall into. It's more complex with all these technologies converging. And so I think everyone needs a little more help than ever to figure that part out and get it right. Because if you classify yourself incorrectly with the FDA, then you're not going to get very far.
Got it. I'm going to share the website here, and maybe you could help us kind of look through this real quickly. I'll share my screen. This is the easeossi.com. Let's see here. I'll share this. Yeah. So from here, if you're looking to get started, obviously this is, huge website. You said it's a Q&A portion. Do you still own a part of this company, you're saying?
I own a part, yeah. I'm not actually part of the operations since 2017, but I'm very proud of it. I'm very proud of the name, very proud of what it's done. And I'm obviously the architect of most of everything it's doing, but it's out there for everybody. It helps companies, big and small, and it helps inventors.
Wow. Okay. Break it down for me. How would I get started on this? If I've got an invention, I want to see it's a medical device, right? And I want to see,
Well, you can see some of their clients at the bottom. So these clients use it for what's called external innovation. So basically, as you guys know, even the biggest of the big companies have to look outside their walls to find some breakthroughs. They're typically pretty good at incremental innovation, but they're typically pretty bad at breakthrough blue sky innovation. So what they do, and then they also have challenges internally that they can't solve. They may have this manufacturing issue, or they may have this design issue and they can't solve it with their internal resources. So they hire companies like Ostomy to go out there and solicit inventors from the outside all around the world to address these technical challenges that these clients have. And then they get to submit potential solutions to these challenges. And then, of course, make deals together and hopefully grow something big together.
Yeah, right. So it's almost like brokering, finding the problems people don't have answers to. Mm-hmm. So then the problem solvers can go figure it out.
That's right.
How long ago did you develop that?
I launched that. That was what's called an open innovation company. I launched it. I was building in 2000, from 2000 to 2006. 2006, it was mature enough to go off on its own, and I spun it out of Ostomy Medical at the time.
That's incredible. So cool. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Love it. Well, I'll definitely keep that as a major resource for our clients and anyone else on our show. If someone wants to reach out to you personally, if they're inspired by what you were able to share on our show today, would you be willing to share your email address?
I sure would. Should I put it in the chat or just tell you what it is?
If you can punch it in, if you're able to share, that'd be awesome.
It's p.vondyck at gmail.com. I'll put it in both.
Okay, thank you.
Just don't forget the dot. p.vondyck. I'll put it right here.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you for being a guest on our show. We're going to go to our next segment, a Bold Bite. You're welcome to hang out backstage if you have time. If not, wish you a wonderful day. We'll hope to have you back on soon for an update.
Thank you, gentlemen, both. It's been fun. Thank you.
Thanks, Peter.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to use that.
Love it.
Wow. Yeah, that guy was revolutionary. Early days.
Yeah, I loved his tenacity and the fact that he went to the people who, one, are going to use the product and two, are going to finance it, right? He went to the doctors.
Yes. Wow. Well, I wish we had more live audience, and hopefully people watching after the fact can reach out to Peter if they got questions in this specific area of medical or healthcare, but really any innovation. I'm going to go look at Ostomy and check it out. Maybe use that as a reference for our clients. All right, let's go check out our Bold Bite for today. This is not necessarily a medical device, but something that could help with odors. So I'll switch our audio up.
Let's do it.
Let's do it, man.
Turn on the smell-o-vision.
If we could, that'd be cool. It'd be good and bad.
It'd be really good, really bad.
Yeah. All right, share screen, entire screen. Here we go. All right, let's do it.
Is a space-age technology to solve an age-old problem.
I'm executed. Call us the coordinator.
Hi, I'm Taylor. I'm from Venice, California.
Hi, I'm Sierra. I'm from New York. Our company is Zorpads. We are seeking a $150,000 investment for an 8% stake in our business.
Imagine this. It's summer. It's hot out. You ducked out of work a little bit early. You speed walked 4 blocks and walk up to your friend's apartment door. You open it, and that's when you see it. All the shoes are lined up in the hallway. You're going to have to take your shoes off right here, right now. You've been wearing these shoes since 8 a.m. You're going to fill the entire apartment with the putrid, rotten egg, old cheese smell of feet.
Unless you remember to put in your Zorpads. This is a Zorpad. Zorpads are odor zapping shoe inserts. They're one size fits all, ultra thin, stick in place, and don't change the fit of your shoes.
They're super small because they're made with our revolutionary NASA-tested technology that packs each Zorpad with more odor-destroying surface area than a full-size tennis court.
People are obsessed with Zorpads. You see, they hate the sprays that belong in bowling alleys, the powders that turn your shoes into sandboxes, or the inserts that bunch up and make your shoes so tight it feels like you're walking in straitjackets. So, Sharks, you do not want to miss the chance to get in on a product that is right to take over the market.
We have some samples for you.
Cool.
Hold the whole thing.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Sarah, what's in the bottle?
So there's garlic. Very potent. So we found the most potent smell that you can find.
All right, so what you're going to do, you're going to unscrew the top of the jar, smell the garlic. It's a lot.
Yeah.
And now take the swatch of our revolutionary
Don't eat that garlic, it'll kill you.
put it over the top, and just try to smell the garlic. Amazing, right?
Kind of.
Kind of.
I could have really used this when I played with some of the funky feet I played with.
We figured you would experienced a lot of funky shoe odor.
I could have still helped me with Shaq.
Which one of you is the astronaut?
Taylor. So Taylor's got the SpaceX back.
Taylor, I have a question. Oh, seriously? Taylor, you work in SpaceX?
So my background was in product development at a large consumer goods company.
Which one?
At Clorox.
Clorox.
So I did product development for Brita water filters, actually earned 5 patents for inventions there.
You did.
I did.
Wow.
And so then moved down to work in aerospace on air filtration for an environmental controlled life support system.
SpaceX?
Yeah, SpaceX. Yep.
Sierra, what do you do?
I do scaling and growth. So my background was primarily in strategy and operations. I worked for a large hospital network. I worked for eliminating solution before.
But how did they find you?
Yep. So right now we do direct to consumer marketing. So we sell them through our website, and then we're launching on Amazon, Walmart, and Jet.
Got it. How much do you charge for them?
They're $5 per pair.
What does it cost you to make them?
Currently, it costs us $1.65.
Wow.
At scale, it'll be 80
Oh,
cents.
you're making.
And
a
is
ton.
that in the USA?
80 cents.
It's all made in the USA in New Jersey.
So what are your total sales?
We've sold $103,000 to date
Over what time?
since we launched in July of 2017.
All right.
What size shoe do you wear?
9.5.
You wear the 9.5. I wear a 17.
That is truly miraculous.
How is
Oh my God.
we can use one pad apiece?
You need
Yes.
7.
No, you're gonna need more. Right?
You know, to be honest, we haven't tested them on a size 17 foot before,
You
so
probably
we
need to
should
with
do
him.
that.
Do you have a patent?
So we have a provisional patent on the product itself.
Do
Third-party
you buy your material from someone else, or did you
We do.
create it?
We buy it from somebody else.
So it's already out
Oh, so
there,
you didn't create this.
and
We
someone
don't
else.
manufacture the material, no, but
That's a little brutal.
Nobody asking here $150,000, right?
Yes.
That's not a lot relative to building even a local brand.
We have an incredible pitch for retailers, right? We're saying
What's
we
the
can bring
pitch?
40% new customers to the aisle for you.
Okay, so guys, look,
Absolutely.
Harvard Business School ruined you guys. I'm out.
Oh,
Oh.
that's a little brutal.
Nobody has foot traffic to their odor products.
Cheap.
All right, guys, what are you doing?
Lori,
Charles,
we'll
take the deal.
Right. So Mark was out
Yeah, Mark wants to own it. He wants to own the proprietary products.
Right.
He doesn't want some, secondhand products cut up into rectangles.
Right. My microphone. Here we go. So they did have a provisional patent application.
Okay.
Dug it up. It was abandoned. So they let it go. They ran into some pretty heavy prior art on the material. They went for a really aggressive claim scope. Looks like in 2020, it was rejected. So it was just a 7 or 8 part claim regarding non-woven thermoplastics. They let it go. Who knows exactly why? It's they probably could have fought it. Regardless, the Shark Tank update, they're doing $4 million a year, selling on Amazon like crazy.
Yeah, I was just looking on Amazon right now. They got a lot
of sales. So they just figured it out. They did not decide to protect with the patent. They were first movers. It sounds like Lori and Charles were able to get them through the way, but I think it helped. With the initial backing, NASA tested. There's some of that that does help with getting a product moved. So, what are your thoughts on the trademark side?
Yeah, they have a registration for. I mean, I can immediately tell that they didn't use an attorney when they filed their own trademark application, because the way that it's written is somewhat circular or somewhat confusing. So their description is shoe inserts. I'm not sure these actually are shoe inserts, by the way. Shoe inserts for primarily non-orthopedic purposes. So some sort of non-orthopedic purpose, but an insert that also deodorizes shoes. So I don't think that these are meant to be worn in the shoe while you're wearing them, correct?
I think they are.
Oh, they are? I thought they were supposed to be put in after you're done wearing them.
Nope. I think you wear them while you're wearing them.
Okay, well then, yeah, I guess that is an insole then. So that's correct.
Yep. Yeah. Well, and so yeah, it's definitely a product. I mean, if you go look, and I think the way we only had to show a little bit of that clip, but they were talking about how it's about the density of the activated carbon that was doing the actual heavy lifting of taking odor out. So they're they're able to go to market. I would say the only thing when you take on investors, even if obviously may not be the sharks, when you bring an investment, that's when you want to make sure you're surrounding yourself with a contract and have it really clear about who is getting what in time frames. So having a business attorney is important. So if that's something that you're running into, you're looking to raise money, get whether it's a shark or someone else more routine, like a bank or an individual investor, angel investor, seed investor, you want to have something in writing. And you also make sure your entity is structured well for future rounds of funding. And if you have a patent application, one cool thing a lot of investors will do is they'll actually pay for it, right? That's one of the things they want to help make sure is, sort of one of those buttresses that support their product as it goes to market.
Yep.
They'll help provide that funding. So it can be an extra boost, to paying your legal fees, right? And the patent office fees, trademark fees, to help that investor help you out. So that's a good way to go. I think that's all we had for today, Matt. We cruised right through.
Love it.
Kicking off November. We'll be on every Wednesday, next week, Wednesday at 1:30 Pacific. And we have a guest. Let me see if I can give a sneak peek here. What we got. It's going to be a Bold client. Yes, we do. We do. His name is Rainey. And I'll get my only hint here is he's over the age of 70. So a well-seasoned inventor, very sharp. So it'll be fun interviewing him. Thanks, David. Good to see you too. Have to catch you next week. All right, Matt. Everybody, have a good rest of your day. Go big, go bold.